Make sure you have unchecked hinge joint component for player, because we want to use this component dynamically along the game and not as a default. Add player movement escape to player object and open it up in Visual Studio. Before anything, we're gonna create a singleton of this script to make sure there is a global access to it throughout the game. Now I wanna create an enum class for the different game modes. I'm adding an accessor for the enum class. Create a serialized field for move speed. Duplicate this field 2 times and call them max speed and jump force accordingly. Create another field as layer mask for handling different layers around the game. An accessor for rigid body as well. Add grappling hook field. Define collider array field to store all collisions detected by ground detector object. Add the facing right field to handle the player's right whenever it is facing right or left. In the start method, we're gonna find grappling hook object by using the child method. According to this line of code, I'm sorting children objects in player object again. Now the I index is on 0 and the hook pivot is on 1 index. Make sure to copy hook gun name and paste that in here. Get rigid body component for RB in here. In update method, add a simple switch case pattern by typing switch and pressing tab 2 times on keyboard. And feed it to the player mode accessor for enum class and then enter to load enum values in its body. In normal mode, we call handle player movement and handle grappling hook method. To generate these two methods, press Alt and Enter keys on keyboard and then generate them. Define input horizontal variable to store horizontal inputs from keyboard. By using overlap circle all method, we can store all colliders detected by ground detector object. For radius, we consider 0.5 unit. For the last argument, we put layer mask. In here we check if collider array contain anything or not. If ground detected, we are able to move player and jump. For player movement, I'm gonna use rigid body. And add force method does this for us. By using clamp magnitude function, we are able to control magnitude speed of rigid body. As you may have noticed, when using the add force function, the player speed increases gradually and indefinitely. So we need to impose some limits to manage it. I'm using Unity 6, which is why it doesn't recognize the velocity property. So I'm using linear velocity instead. Define another vector2 field and name it vec2. Assign vec2 to rb.linear velocity property. In this line, we can check if the spacebar is pressed and the player is on the ground. If true, we can jump immediately by pressing the spacebar. Next, we wanna control the player sprite renderer and check whether the player is facing right or left. If the condition expression is true, the flip function is called, and its inverse is checked for the left side. Press Alt and Enter, and then generate flip function. Unfortunately, I forgot to add these codes to handle player movement function, and I have added them to handle grappling hook function. So we need to swap them. In flip function, we will assign not facing right to facing right field for toggling it. In this line, we put transform local scale equals to new vector tree with -1 value for x-axis to flip the sprite renderer visually. For handle grappling hook function, I'm gonna define another field and I'm calling that vec. In this function, when we are facing right and getting PG down as an input, we will add 50 times delta time to vec variable to rotate grappling hook pivot around the axis. If O key is being pressed, we minus 50 times delta time from vec variable. In this line, we're gonna clamp rotation value around C for grappling hook pivot object. I found -60 for minimum value and -20 for maximum value gives us the best result when we're facing right. To apply this angle to grappling hook pivots, I'm gonna call grappling hook A method. So press Alt and Enter keys to generate this function. The Euler angle temp variable will store default value of grappling hook pivot Euler angle. Change its type to vector3. In this line, we assign vec value to Euler angle temp.z-axis. In this line, we assign this new Euler angle temp vector to grappling hook pivot Euler angle. I made another mistake. In this line of code, just replace O instead of Q. Now we need to define layer max and replace the exact name of detector object in here. Expand player object, copy this name and paste the name in here. For layer mask, we should add some layer to the game. So select player, then in layer click on small triangle and open up tags and layers. In here we can add any layer to the game. The first one which I'm gonna add is player. And the second one is joint for the chain base object. Return to player and select player layer to it. Click on Yes Change Children button to apply this layer for the children as well. Now select Chain Base and apply Joint layer to this object with the children. Let's add some tags to the game as well. So select an object from the scene and then expand Combo Box tag in the inspector. Click on Add Tag option in Combo Box tag. Add hookable, then click on Save button. Select all hookable platforms and assign hookable tag to them. Select player object and change the player tag, and assign this predefined player tag to the player. Select player object again and assign the fields to it in player movement script. Back to script, I'm gonna change the name of max speed fields. For refactoring and renaming in Visual Studio, put the cursor over the name of the fields or methods and hold Ctrl key then R key 2 times. Replace max speed with max speed magnitude, as I think this name makes a bit more sense than the previous name for this field. Then press Enter. In this line also, we don't need this part of code, so take it away from here. Cut these two if statements from here and paste them here. Back to editor and assign the fields to player object. For move speed, change value to 800 and max speed magnitude to maximum 15. Set jump force value to about 13. For layer mask, first select everything, then uncheck player layer. Let's run the game to see what we have done so far. As you can see, we have maximum value up to 15 for Vec2, which is related to RB velocity. Without putting limitation, rigid body velocity increases indefinitely. But in game view, there are some issues with order in layer property of sprite renderer component, and we should rectify those issues. Stop the game and select iObject, and change the value of order in layer property to something upper than 0, like 5. Give it a try again. We need to adjust ground detector object order in layer property as well. As you can see, grappling hook functionality also works well when we are facing right, but not for the left side, because we've not expanded it to the left side yet. So stop the game and back to the script. Inside handle grappling hook function, I'm gonna copy this line of codes and paste them in here. Add an exclamation mark behind it for the left side instead of facing right. Change plus to minus for this line. Change minus to plus for this line. For clamp function, change minimum value from minus 60 to 20. And for maximum argument, replace 16 instead of minus 20. Give it a try again. Okay, I forgot to change order in layer property in the inspector for detector object. So I'm stopping the game and apply that as well. Run the game again. As you can see, grappling hook aiming works for the left side as well. Stop the game and back to script again. No need to this state, so take it away from here. Remove the jump state from enum class as well. As you can see, all the functionality works perfectly. And jump as well. Now it's time for the camera to follow the player. So select the camera, add new script to it, and call that camera follow. Double click on that and open it up. First, we're gonna add camera view field just for adjusting the camera in game mode. Add player as transform and offset as a vector field. In this line, we store the current position of the camera in offset variable. In this line, we find the player object and assign it to player field. I'm using Unity 6. In this version, find object of type is deprecated. We should replace this function with find first object by type instead. In here, I'm gonna assign offset vector to camera view temporarily. This will help us to adjust camera in game mode properly. In update method, the player going to be followed by camera. To achieve this, we're using blur function. In here, we add camera view to temp vector and assign the result to camera position. Back to editor and give it a try. At this point, we can set and manipulate the camera view field from the inspector and apply them. I think the value of 18 is good for the size of camera. For the camera view, we need to adjust the camera at first. I think these settings are sufficient for this field, so right-click on the field name and copy the values. . Stop the game and paste the values in camera view field. Back to the script and comment out this line of code. If you have noticed, when we collide the chain object, the last child of the chain base spins infinitely, and we need to apply constraints to all the chains to prevent this from happening. Stop the game and select second child and all the children chains to bottom in chain base object. Scroll down and check the use limits property in hinge joint component. For lower angle, insert -12, and for upper angle, insert 12. Run the game and check it out. As you can see, there isn't any extra rotation for chains anymore. Change the jump force to 15. Test it out again.